Hello everyone, the Trail Guy here. My goal in these interviews is to introduce you to the people and the ideas that will actually help you execute on your goals. Today's guest is one of Canada's most accomplished ultramarathoners. So please, help me welcome a 149-time ultramarathon finisher, Moe the Eagle. Welcome, Moe. Thanks for being here.
Hi, it's 144, but I'll take the extra 5.
Good. Tell me, Moe, what was it like growing up in Saskatchewan?
Well, that's a different story. I started when I was 12 years old going hunting with my uncles. I always liked the woods. And it's fairly cold, but the people are friendly. They didn't even lock their doors of their cars. That's not that many years ago.
Yes, cool. Now, what was your light bulb moment, that realization where you realized trails and ultramarathon is for me?
Well, I ran a 10K run, the Terry Fox run, and then I had this idea way back in '81 that I'd go to Hickson, which is 41 miles away from Prince George, kind of along the road, but I didn't get on the trails too much, but I did 41 miles walking and running, and I thought, well, I can do this, and I went and found some trails after that up on the hard highway, and I think going longer was my moment where I knew that I could go longer, and I've always liked trails, like I say, because when I was 12, I was out in the woods with my uncles. Cool.
Now, how do you approach trail running?
Well, I used to approach it a little faster. Now I approach it in a way that the goal is to last. And I tell new people, if they ask me this too, I mean, when you do your first race, it's not so important about where you're going to place. The thing is you want to try to finish, and you want to finish strong and in a way that makes you feel proud of yourself, not all bagged out.
Okay, now what were the biggest problems for you to become a good trail runner?
Well, I think the problems for me is little things like, I still do it sometimes. I drink lots in a race usually, but in training, I don't drink enough.
Yes.
And that could be a problem because you're even a few percent dehydrated. It can make you recover poorly. It's not good for you.
Good. Okay, Moe, thank you very much. Now, the next question is, how do you battle through the rough patches on a regular basis to help you keep running?
Well, everyone's different, but especially now when I'm in the 70 age category, I'll be 74 here pretty quick. I kind of think when I'm in there and I'm starting having a rough time, I try to think, well, you know, there's people with way worse problems than me. This is nothing. And I also try to think, well, these other guys are suffering too. I've got to be able to put up with discomfort a little bit better.
Good. Now, what do you like to do the most in your training?
I used to like doing hills, but I have a hard time with tall hills. I like hills that are undulating.
Undulating.
I think I like those the most.
Now, do you have any mantras, like, you know, that energizes you, a philosophy built into your mindset?
Well, sometimes when I'm running, if I get really tired, I'll say things like, you can do this, you've done this before, it's not going to be an issue, you're strong, you've got the endurance, and you've got the mental ability to keep doing it. I just repeat that positive thing to myself, and I also do visualization sometimes before a race. I'll lay down and I'll think to myself, there's a golden light going through the top of my skull, and the black light is getting burned out. I know it sounds airy-fairy, but you know, you can convince yourself a lot of things. Your mind is so strong, your body will follow.
Very good. Now, what is the biggest misconception about you?
Well, I think I've said this before to people. I think a lot of people think because I've done 144 ultras that I'm basically, I'm fairly important or fairly indestructible, but it isn't that at all. I'm just an ordinary guy, and I just try to think I want to last, and I love it so much that I want to keep going. Last man standing.
Good. Now, here's a fun question. What do you want written on your tombstone? How would you like to be remembered?
Well, basically just that, you know, he was a pretty good guy. He loved trails, and he just didn't want to stop. He wanted to go as far as he can for as long as he can, and just that.
Very good. Now, what is the trait that you've cultivated in yourself that you think is the most responsible for your success?
I think a mental capacity to believe, make myself believe that I can go a long time and just keep going, and endurance is something we can save. You lose speed, you lose strength, but endurance is something, if you work on it, you can save. And you also have to have mental endurance.
Very good. Now, what are you doing with your trail running that the average runner is not?
Well, I don't know. I don't think I'm doing anything special. I wouldn't say the average person isn't doing this, but I try to do a plateau system, which very few people don't use. They don't use. They'll keep building their long run up, and then you can crash. I try to do 1 week long, 1 week short, next week longer. So your body's kind of fooled into believing, well, God, I can go 6, 7, 8 hours because I've had a rest week.
Okay. Very good. Very good. It's very good, Mo. Now, next question. Now, you know, you've done all these ultra marathons, you've had all the successes, but there was a time when you didn't have all this, where it wasn't that easy. Take us through there to what was it like inside?
Well, I mean, you know, everybody can have tough times, and I think with me it was just specific races. I've had about 8 DNFs, 4 were beyond my control, and 4 is where I just quit. And if you quit on yourself, they're the ones that bother you. The ones where, you know, you're running along, and it was a horse race too, and a horse steps on your foot, you know you can't go, this is at 80 miles, you know you can't get more than 85, 88, I quit at 88, you're just going to hurt yourself and keep going. Or hypothermia, or I was pulled out once. That can happen to anyone. There's so many variables in these events that it's hard enough training for 100 miles and actually doing it, and then all of a sudden everything can go right, or the next race it seems like everything's going wrong. It might only be one thing going wrong, but your mind is telling you everything's going wrong.
Sure, yeah. Now, what was the funniest single moment in your trail running life?
This is a little colorful, I guess, but I'm in Virginia at 100 miler.
Yes.
And I get to about the 80 mile mark, and I thought, well, I'm going to go have a pee. So
Yes.
Behind a tree and had a pee, and it's just dawn coming up. And all of a sudden I noticed there's a man fishing, fly fishing in the stream, and a woman sitting with a child.
Yeah.
And she turns and looks at me while I'm peeing. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were there. She said, it's no big deal. I said, how to hurt a guy.
Now, what is the single most important thing you learned about trail running?
Just be steadfast, put one foot in front of the other. I think really it breaks down to 2 words, or 3 words. Relentless forward progress.
Good for you. Okay. Now, if you were to teach a 5-minute class on how to run an ultramarathon, what would you teach?
Well, it's a lot different than a lot of people might, but I would say when you start off especially, don't get too carried away and run every day. Try to take some easy days, like creative rest.
Yes.
Maybe run one day and spin bike the next day, or go for a bike ride, go to the gym and do weights. If you do something every day without a break, without a rest, rest is as important as the training.
Very good. Now, if you could invent your dream ultramarathon university, who would be your professors?
Well, I guess there's lots of people. I could pick people I ran with in the past, like Mark Hardiger, John Bander. These are American guys. I could maybe Gary Robbins and some of these guys, but I think that's getting a little too beyond the normal person. I think we got to think of ourselves as our own professor and our own teachers, and respect ourselves for what we can do and what we can give ourselves in the form of knowledge and training.
Very good. Okay, that's great. Now, Mo, if you could have any one superpower, what would it be?
Well, I told you before X-ray vision, but that wouldn't work. I'd get into trouble. I think basically I'd like to be able to run a little faster, but I'm just saying that tongue-in-cheek because you know as you get older you lose speed, you lose some strength. Endurance is the thing you want, so I'm not really wishing for a superpower. I just want to be me and just keep moving and keep doing it.
Great. Now, if you won a $20 million lottery, what would you do with the money?
Well, I'd find some charities, I think, but I'd also probably take about 47 runners to the ultra of their choice.
Very good. Now, what famous person would you like to share a hospital room with for a week, and why?
I think Alfred E. Newman from Mad Magazine, because, and this sounds silly, but people take themselves so seriously, if you don't get some humor out of life or laugh and dance sort of thing, if you're so serious all the time, I'd probably take a comedian.
Okay, good. Now, what advice would you give someone who is thinking about getting into trail running at any age?
Well, just go out there and do the training, but I think the biggest thing is to find a group that you can run with that can motivate you, because there's times when you're not going to feel like getting out there. And I'm sure a lot of people are self-directed, but even they will think sometimes, gee, I don't feel like doing this. So sometimes being in a good group, such as the Szymanski group, what happens is people get motivated from other people.
Very good. Now, any final thoughts, advice, suggestions for trail runners out there?
Well, make sure to eat and drink enough. I mean, that sounds pretty simple, but sometimes I don't drink enough, so it's something we have to keep harping on. And like I said before, don't overtrain. Try not to run every day, and just have fun. I mean, if you're not having fun, it's not worth it.
Very good. Well, thanks a lot for your time and for your advice, Moe, and keep going. Thanks a lot, Moe.
Thank you.
Okay, you bet. And this is the Trail Guy again. We'll be continuously doing these interviews and for you guys to learn from, get great ideas from great people, and then again, then you can maybe learn from them and execute those on your dreams. So the Trail Guy here, till the next time. Thank you.